The House with a Clock in its Walls, Panic Room and The Children Act, all coming up next on the Movie Burner Blog Rundown. And joining us as always is John, and we're going to start, John, with a movie that you reviewed the other day, The House with a Clock in its Walls, directed by Eli Roth.
It's directed by Eli Roth. We were obviously speaking about this, Stephen, in the box office chat. Gave my short little summary of the film, and indeed I'm probably being over much of the things I said in my short little summary because, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the film. That was what I said first and foremost. It was a very charming release, something that I wasn't expecting. I didn't know the film existed prior to its release. I got wind of it maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks prior to it. I just knew that Jack Black was in it. Kate Blanchett, whatever way you want to say that. I knew the two actors were in this film, and I knew that because of their appearances in the film it would have some semblance of quality to it. Jack Black's a guy I've been watching for a number of years, all the way back to the likes of the Cable Guy, and even his stint in the Tenacious D, also that band he had. Maybe still has, I don't know, I've not been keeping track on that, but I remember him doing a video, Greatest Song in the World, with Dave Grohl doing the drums, dressed up as a devil. But I digress, I'm getting sidetracked, Stephen. It's not about Tenacious D, it's not about Dave Grohl, sadly. It's about The House with a Clock in its Walls. And as I did say, very charming little film, wasn't expecting it at all. And certainly with Eli Roth directing it, it wasn't your atypical Eli Roth film, as you did say in the box office chat, Stephen. More known for his horror films. Certainly not known for a family-friendly adventure fantasy film about a warlock in a mysterious house with 50 million clocks and one ominous clock ticking away in the walls. And that is basically the pretext to this film. A young boy, Louis Barnevelt, played by Owen Vaccaro, loses his parents. I don't believe it ever tells you how he loses his parents, but he loses them. He's orphaned. He goes to stay with his uncle, played by Jack Black, Jonathan Barnevelt. And he's just a mysterious figure. His house is a big old ancient rickety house you'd expect to see in like a 1960s horror film, and they slowly flesh the story out. There's a lot of exposition in this film, certainly from the likes of Kate Blanchett, his character Florence Zimmerman, talking back and forth with Jonathan. They just explain what's been going on in the background prior to the events of the film, with the likes of Isaac Izzard, who's the main antagonist, played by McLaughlin. He's an evil warlock who used to be friends with Jack Black, his character, who is also a warlock. He practiced blood magic about a year prior to the events of the film, left a clock in the walls to drive Jonathan Barnevelt insane, and just to slowly drip feed what's going on in the film around the events of the film, which is littered with whole sequences of comedy and little introspective moments with the character of Lewis, who is a shy newcomer to this town. He's quite an introverted boy, he's quite a weird boy, he wears goggles everywhere. I think it's based off a comic book character he's been reading. He's struggling to settle into this new life, settle into the new school. He's trying to make friends, and he befriends a little arsewipe of a boy, Tabby Corrigan, played by Suni Sulzic, who's like the popular kid who's good at all sports. And this is where the events of the film, certainly towards the middle to the end, start to kick off. He tries to impress him, get his friendship back, and in doing so he unleashes the once dead Isaac Izzard. He brings him back to life using an incantation from a strange book of the dead that the character of Jonathan warned him not to access via a cabinet. He told him, this is the one thing you can't do, you can't go into this cabinet. And of course when I was watching it, I says, that's what he's going to do. Later on in the film, for sure he's going to go into the cabinet. It's like the yellow submarine, don't touch the big red button, and you know they're going to touch the big red button. But I digress, I'm gibbering on, Stephen. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did enjoy the feeling of the film. It was almost Harry Potterish in those early days of the Harry Potter franchise. It had that magic about it. There was a moment where they're out the back and they're practicing spells for the first time, and a map of the universe pops up. You've got all the stars and galaxies, and it was just an amazing moment, much reminiscent of the Yoda scene in, I believe, Attack of the Clones, where he's got all the younglings and the system mapped out in the room. And the music as well was absolutely incredible. I loved a lot of the little themes conjured up by Nathan Barr, not a guy I was familiar with prior to this, but I'll certainly be keeping an eye on after it. All in all, really came together to be a surprisingly enjoyable little film, and it's doing well too.
Yeah, John, I picked up an article the other day in regards to the rating of this movie. It's a PG, and there was a lot of concern over a lot of the theme to this movie in regards to witches and warlocks, demons, bringing the dead back to life.
Yeah.
You know, jack-o'-lanterns and some creepy dolls as well.
Yeah, there was some creepy moments. Yeah.
And there was some concerns from parents who, whether it's true or not, but there were some kids coming out, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, who were obviously with their parents, coming out crying. They had to leave the cinema early because of the tone. Do you think the rating is the correct rating for this type of movie?
Yeah. Do you see it was a PG-13?
Yeah.
I don't think you can really go any higher for a film of this style. It's a comedy, family, fantasy film, but there's dark elements. You can't really make an R-rated film in this genre. It just wouldn't work. I mean, there was certainly darker, creepy moments towards the end where, as you did say, there's a lot of dolls in this house. And when the character of Isaac is brought back to life by Lewis, they sense his presence and they start playing creepy songs and turning round to see Jonathan when he's coming down the stairs. There's a painting or a stained glass window at the top of the stairs in the house which turns to change and reflect what's going on in the story. And there's a moment where the three characters of Jonathan, Florence and Lewis are actually hanging with nooses around their necks because that's obviously a premonition that Isaac's coming and he's going to kill them all. And there's some creepy moments with the jack-o'-lanterns, as you did say. And there is some weird moments in there that maybe scare younger children, but I don't think you can go any higher than the PG rating. In terms of performances, I'll fire in with my thoughts on some of the performances. There wasn't any trouble in the Oscars or anything like that, but I thought Jack Black was incredible as Jonathan Barneveld. I spoke about it on Box Office Chat where I did say I think people maybe underestimate the guy's pull, his box office appeal, his ability to drive people into cinemas. We were talking about Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. Also, Dwayne Johnson got all the credit for pushing that film onto the heights it got to in terms of box office success, and they maybe forgot about the likes of Jack Black, who I think has got a big fan base, very funny guy, and I think it's been proven that he may have had a part to play in that film's success as well. He's good in this again, really up his street. He's an oddity of a character, provides much humour at various different points, but he's also playing a kind of a multifaceted character as well. He's got feelings for the Florence Zimmerman character played by Kate Blanchett, and he's having to learn to adjust to having a younger child there as well. Kate Blanchett, what can you say about her? Fantastic actress, one of the best in the business, and she's very good as well as Florence Zimmerman. I want to say a witch. I don't know if she is a witch in this. I would imagine it would be. That's a female warlock. That's a witch. Pretty sure it is. She's kind of lost her way. She loses her family. I think it's hinted at in the film, and she loses her ability to cast spells and stuff like that. But she slowly gets that back. Finally, Owen Vaccaro, I thought he was outstanding. He's probably the best performance in the film as a young kid, just trying to learn to adjust to a new way of life. Out with that, there's not a huge deal to talk about, but performances were not bad.
Yeah, it's a decent cast, John, and you're right, Jack Black. He's an actor you go to in these type of films, certainly for a filmmaker. For every Natural Libre or whatever it was called, I can't remember, it was a horrendous film.
It was Natural Libre,
You get films like The School of Rock or his part in Jumanji. It's not a Jack Black film, I know that, but he adds that element to it, a certain level of humour. But I don't know, he's had a very consistent career over the last 20 years. I remember the first sort of roles I saw him in were very bit partish. He was in that Will Smith one, the Enemy of the State.
Yeah.
Very small role, similar to Seth Green's role. And he kind of played these kind of roles very similar to Seth Green. It was always little bit parts as his career progressed. And I think round maybe about the early 2000s, that's when he hit the big time. Mm-hmm. But you're right, I liked him in The Cable Guy as well. I thought he was good in that, But you're right, Kate Blanchett as well. Fantastic actress from the last 20 years or so. Mm-hmm. It's a great cast. Kyle McLaughlin, as you said, is a good actor. I remember him back in the day of Twin Peaks, the sort of mid-90s. Colleen Camp as well. I remember her. She was in the Police Academy films, as I recall. She was also in that horrendous Bruce Lee film, Game of Death. I think she played the character of Bruce Lee's character's girlfriend, which is ironic because I don't think Colleen Camp ever met Bruce Lee, because that was the film that they remade, or they finished off 7 years later. But it's a decent cast. It's a movie I'll probably get around to seeing at some point. But we're going to move on to our next movie review. It was one that I did earlier this week. It's from director David Fincher, and it was out in 2002. We were just talking about this before we came on, John, how long ago this was. It doesn't seem that long ago. It's Panic Room, starring Jodie Foster, our young Kristen Stewart, Forrest Whitaker, Dwight Yoakam, Jared Leto as well is in there, and also I think Nicole Kidman. She lends her voice in a telephone conversation. She was actually up for the role of the Jodie Foster character, Meg Altman, but she couldn't do it. I think it was due to scheduling conflicts or something like that. But as I said, this is a David Fincher film. We've actually just did a poll on Twitter not that long ago, and we deliberately left out Panic Room because the guy has got some CV with other films. But I watched this film a few weeks ago. It was on Sky Movies. I've actually got the DVD. I got it when it came out because I think myself and my wife went to see this movie when it came out in the cinema. Thoroughly enjoyed it. What I liked about this film was it was all set in the house. I like films like that if they're written well enough, and the writer's David Coop, and it's a great thriller, a great drama as well about this panic room. She's just moved into this, it's a very big, large house in the sort of posh side of New York, and it's got this panic room installed in it. And it does come in handy. I think it's the first night they're actually staying in the house, the mother and daughter. And the villains in this movie, as I said, is Forrest Whitaker, Dwight Yoakam and Jared Leto, who are trying to get into some valuables, but I think they're actually stored in this panic room, which ironically Meg Altman and her daughter Sarah Altman have to hide in to protect themselves. So they're actually in the room that they're trying to get into. So nice little twist there. The film is shot. There's a style they're using. I think it must have been round about the time this kind of technology came out. It's like a kind of a keyhole camera, which can get into areas that most cameras can't. And you see it, and they kind of overuse it a bit in the sort of first 30 minutes of the movie, where you're seeing the camera going right through the sort of stair banisters and stuff like that, and you're wondering how the hell did they do that, that kind of thing. And I think you actually see it going through the wall at one point as well, into the cavities. And it's a great film, John. I don't know what your recollection of the film is, because I know it's been a little while, but for a film that lasts an hour and 52 minutes, just under 2 hours, it is quite suspenseful. And Forrest Whitaker, it's a sort of, he is a villain in the movie, but he is also the voice of reason within his group of people. Dwight Yoakam, who plays Raoul, he's masked for most of the film. He wears a balaclava, and he's more of the sort of villain out of the three of them. He's the one that will go that step further than the other two will. He's the one with the gun. Jared Leto, he plays Junior. He's the sort of the organiser of the heist, but he wants to bail out at some point because things are getting too hot for him. And as I said, Forrest Whitaker, he's the sort of softer one. He's, he doesn't want anybody to come to harm or anything like that. He's just want to get in and get his reward and out again. And Jodie Foster in this film as well, she carries the film very well. Kristen Stewart she's quite young in this, but she's also quite vital to it. She's playing the role of the daughter who she suffers diabetes, and it kind of adds that complication into the situation where they're locked in this panic room and her medication is on the outside. Overall, though, it's a very good film, John. It's probably one of David Fincher's more under the radar films that people don't really remember him doing when you think of films like Fight Club or Seven, and then recent ones of The Social Network and Zodiac as well. So overall, it's a very good film. It's one that if you haven't seen it, I would certainly recommend it. And I enjoyed writing the review as well, because it's a film that I hadn't seen for such a long time. When it came on Sky Movies the other week there, it really did take me back to 2002 and how much I did enjoy it and how much I forgot about it as well and how good it was. Yeah,
I've not seen this film in a long time, but I do recall it very well. I hope I recall it very well. As you did say, the young daughter, played by Kristen Stewart, I believe, who must have been very young at that point. Well, I say very young, she wasn't like 5 or 6, I think she was in her teenage years. She had, I recall her having a condition, I think it was diabetes, as she did say. 12 was she, yeah. And she had to take a shot, I do recall, and think it was outside the room. Or something like that anyway. And I recall Forrest Whitaker's character of Burnham being like a good intentioned burglar, which is an odd concept. You've got these 3 guys breaking into a house, obviously trying to find something, and one of them's got a heart of gold. That's a bit strange, but it's classic Forrest Whitaker. He's such a great actor with some amazing range, and he played the part very well. And I think that was one of my takeaways from the film, certainly my recollections of it. It managed to give the 4 or 5 main characters in the film a lot of screen time. They all get their chance to do their bit. Also, it focused primarily on Jodie Foster as Meg Altman and her daughter, the plight they found themselves in, stuck in this panic room. If I do recall, it was quite a sizable panic room, though it wasn't like a tight thing. But it was an interesting concept, basing a whole film around a panic room. It was almost like a siege horror in many ways, but it didn't seem to be classed as a siege horror. They classed it as a crime drama thriller, so it's clearly not a siege horror. But it reminded me almost like The Green Room I watched recently, a couple of years ago, with Patrick Stewart and Anton Yelchin. That was a siege horror. That was classed as a siege horror, and it was a similar concept. They were stuck in the green room of this venue, neo-Nazi venue that they just played a gig in after there was a murder, and they were locked in. And it was similar to this. They were stuck in this little room, and there was some really creepy moments, if I do recall, her having to rush out to get something and then come back in, and it was like edge of the seat stuff. You're cringing, your fingernails digging in, the seat tight situation. It must have been one of the first main breakout performances for Jared Leto. I don't think he was in anything outstanding prior to that. I do think he was in the Fight Club, but it couldn't have been a sizable role, because that was very much Brad Pitt and Edward Norton's film, that one. But Dwight Yoakam, he was another guy to get quite a sizable bit. You says he was a creep with the mask, Stephen, I do believe. And yeah, I mean, you look at the cast, an incredible cast. You look at the crew as well, and just the people involved around this. As you did say, David Fincher, absolutely outstanding director, one of the best. David Cope, he's been involved, I do believe, with Spielberg. Certainly he's written the likes of Jurassic Park, so he must have been involved with Spielberg. Mission Impossible, Spider-Man, Stir of Eccles. This is a very good writer. And even the composer, Stephen Howard Shaw, this is a guy who's worked in the likes of Mrs. Doubtfire and a couple of better films than that. The likes of Dogma as well. Gangs of New York, Lord of the Rings. So this is an incredible composer. All in all, I've got good memories of this film. I've seen a lot of people dishing it in some of the reviews I've been reading, because I did know we were going to be speaking about it. I've been giving it 1 out of 10 and embarrassing, and saying it was a pointless and boring plot and stuff like that. I don't recall that at all. I seem to recall it was quite an intelligently crafted film, as you did say. It used some interesting filming techniques, going through the keyhole and stuff like that. It had quite a bit of tension in it. It was a thrilling story. I do recall it ended a bit crap though. She broke out eventually, and she was like running about the house, and they were struggling to find her. It went a little bit Home Alone, but I really enjoyed it. It's some great moments in there, some great tension, some great performances as well, certainly driven by Jodie Foster, a woman I'm not a big fan of now, because she's turned into a bit of a bitch, but can't argue with that cast. And apparently Nicole Kidman left the film, Stephen, because she got pregnant, so she had to bail the film. And you can do no worse than bringing in Jodie Foster, who was well within her prime at this point. So yeah, I've not got much more to add. I ain't seen it in about 10 years, but I've got nothing but good memories, and David Fincher doesn't make a bad film, as your poll you put up, Stephen, shows perfectly.
Yeah, and just touching on what you said about the cast as well, it's quite a limited cast, John, because of the the isolation and the setting. You're right. You're only talking maybe about a handful of very good actors in there, but I thought it was quite gripping for its day. I don't understand the sort of negative reviews the movie got at the time.
I mean, you look at the critic response, Stephen, 75-73%, that's decent.
Yeah, it is decent, and it does hold up well. As when I was watching it the other week there, it's not a film that ages. There's a couple of shots with the old Nokia cell phones from back in the day, but apart from that, it's a very well crafted movie. As you said, David Fincher doesn't make bad movies, in our opinion anyway.
No.
But thoroughly enjoyed it, but we're going to move on, John, to the final film this week in the Movie Burner blog rundown. This is a movie that you reviewed.
Yes.
It's called The Children Act from last year, and 2017 that is, and it stars Emma Thompson, Stanley Tucci, Ben Chaplin, Fionn Whitehead is in there as well.
Yes.
This is a film I didn't know anything about till you brought it up the other day, John. Yeah. And the film is about, as her marriage crumbles, the Emma Thompson character, a judge must decide a case involving a teenage boy who is refusing a blood transfusion on religious principle. That kind of reminds me of the sort of subplot to X-Files. That X-Files second movie, the one with Billy Connolly. There was a kid in that, and I think it was seriously unwell. I think it was a Catholic based hospital, and the whole moral thing came into it, the morals of the religion, and I think it was maybe experimenting with stem cells and stuff like that, and the whole conflict about that, John. But you can fill us in your experience in this movie.
Yeah, I went to see this film with my mother, Stephen. I can't lie, I didn't know anything about it either, but she's a big Emma Thompson fan. I didn't even know it existed. You see it's 2017, but that's strange because it just came out this year, not long ago. So perhaps it was made in 2017 and then they struggled to maybe get a distribution deal over here, I don't know. But I don't know why, because it was actually quite an enjoyable little film. It wasn't hugely long, an hour and 45 minutes. And it was... Yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. I thought it was quite riveting. It's from Ian McEwan. It's based on a novel by him. He obviously wrote the screenplay as well. This is a guy that's been involved in a whole host of interesting novels and films over the years. The Innocent, an Anthony Hopkins film from back in the day. Obviously, more recently, on Chesil Beach, that Saoirse Ronan film that came out, Atonement. So this is a guy that's got very good credentials for writing not just screenplays but novels as well. When you take this guy's writing ability and just mix it with these list of actors that you did read out there, Stephen, you know you're on for a semi-good film at the very least. But this is better than a semi-good film. It's very much Emma Thompson driven. Fantastic actress. I've seen her in so many films I've lost track. I do recall getting bashed to death with Sense and Sensibility back in the day, to the point where I could probably play a part in it. I could probably play the Hugh Laurie role, Stephen. I've seen it so often. But I'm not talking about Sense and Sensibility, I'm talking about the bloody Children Act. And as you did say, yeah, it's about a young Jehovah Witness boy. He's from a Jehovah Witness family. I believe he gets diagnosed with cancer. Pretty sure it was cancer. And his family are dead set against him getting any blood transfusion because it's against their religious beliefs. So it goes to a case. Emma Thompson is playing the judge, Fiona May. She deals with all these cases involving children and stuff. And she... against her better wishes, and I don't think you're allowed to do it, but she goes and visits the young boy Adam Henry, strikes up a friendly relationship with him, and she rules that he has to get the blood transfusion. And what transpires is he then has a bit of an epiphany, decides he's not interested in the Jehovah Witness way. His mum and dad then kind of disown him slightly. Ben Chaplin plays the dad, can't remember who plays the mother. So he then becomes infatuated with the judge. He starts stalking her and stuff like that. He wants to stay with her, and he was really impressed with her way and the knowledge she seemed to have, and just what she imparted on him. She took him away from the religion and gave him a new lease of life. So he became infatuated with her. He was stalking her into these highfalutin events that she was attending and stuff like that. And as you did say, she had a struggling relationship with Stanley Tucci's character, Jack May. That was her husband. He was a businessman. He's gone off and she's on her own. So she's got these mixed emotions. I don't think she wants to pursue any romantic relationship with him, but she sees him almost like a child or a son she never had. I don't think she's got a son. And it plays up on that. It really is a great performance from Emma Thompson. Fionn Whitehead is a fantastic actor as well. He's come to the fray really after his performance in Dunkirk, I believe, as Tommy, I think his name was in that. And he's a great young actor, and he really does excel in this as well. You know what you're getting from Stanley Tucci. You just need to put that guy in there, and he's going to, even if he phones it in, he's going to put in a good performance. And it was quite dialogue heavy. It focuses on this connection between Adam Henry, played by Fionn Whitehead, and Fionn May, played by Emma Thompson, and just the unlikely connection these two have. This young 18-year-old, 17-year-old Jehovah's Witness from a fairly poor background connecting with this top lawyer, or barrister from London. And it's some great visual moments as well, just shots of the cityscape of London. But all in all, it was more dialogue driven, and I actually enjoyed it more than I would have thought I'd have enjoyed it. I didn't know it existed, as I did say, and I'm glad I went along to see it, because certainly it didn't pop up in the top 10 of the United Kingdom's box office, which surprised me, sitting at a $10.2 million worldwide gross off of presumably a fairly small budget. And you look at the Rotten Tomatoes reception, Stephen, 79% from the top critics, 69% from all critics, 73% from the audience, only 394 reviews, so this isn't a film that's getting any real widespread recognition, which is a shame, because it's not a bad film at all. Not one of Emma Thompson's greatest films by any means, she's been in some fantastic releases, but it was a nice little introspective film that showed or enlightened you on the impact some of these religious groups have, and their beliefs, how they impact on younger lives, because sadly the boy dies at the end. When he gets
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. He dies at the end. I don't think anybody's going to watch it anyway, as I did say, Stephen. It's not getting it's not getting out there. But he does. She kind of throws him off. You know, she tells him, "Listen, you're going to have to go and live your own life. I've gave you a chance at a second life. I can't be connected with you." And he then goes off and he ends up getting cancer again. This time he decides, "I don't want another blood transfusion," and he dies sadly. And it shows you the impact it has on her. She doesn't realise just all the feelings she has for this young boy until he's passed away, and you see it busting out of her when her husband comes back from this event. That's another thing that actually reminded me of Stephen. She plays music as well. She's a pianist, and there's a nice moment at the end of the film where all the emotion comes out of her, and this ends up having a good impact on these two people's relationship. It's struggling at the beginning of the film, but at the end it's repaired and they've reconnected with each other through the story of this young boy. So all in all, I'm giving it away. Decent little film.
Yeah, I'm surprised, John, it has kind of went under the radar. When you think of that cast, you know, when it's headed up with someone like Emma Thompson and directed by Richard Eyre as well. I've only saw another one of his films from, it was a good 10, maybe longer, 10 years ago than that, Iris, starring Judi Dench and Jim Broadbent, which was a really good movie. So I know from his directorial capabilities from that movie. So it's certainly one that I think I will check out. Having read your review, John, and having heard what you've had to say on the movie itself, it's certainly one I'm certainly going to check out. But that just brings us to the end of this week's Movie Burner Blog Rundown. We'd just like to thank you for joining us once more, and we will be back again tomorrow with the Force Friday show.
Remember guys, if you enjoyed that latest episode, then do hit that like button, comment below, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. If you want to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Movie Burner Entertainment, then we can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Movie Burners. You can also listen to us on Google Play and iTunes at the Movie Burner Podcast. And last but not least, if you want to access all the latest written reviews and the occasional article, then that can be found on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until next time, goodbye.